Last time we spoke about product certifications, UL, SEMI, and CE for semiconductor manufacturing equipment, which is a very specific niche and where our business started. However, we've expanded well beyond that. And let's talk today more broadly about all types of equipment. Everything from life sciences and medical equipment to oil and gas exploration equipment to clean energy, consumer products, machine tools, pretty much every other piece of equipment out there. In general, going to fall into this kind of conversation we're going to have now. So basically what we would do, and let me give you the context. I want to talk about the process that we use and will take you through in order to have your product certified and get you to market. And also to do that practically, reliably, timely, and on budget. So the first thing we'll do is we'll have an initial call and share some documentation so I can get a sense of what it is that you're building, the equipment that you're building. What is this product? And that'll immediately let me know what the hazards are going to be for your product. Most products nowadays, of course, are going to have electrical hazards. Very few don't have electrical hazards. But we deal with mechanical-only hazards as well. From there, you're going to have other hazards too. Hot surfaces or heated surfaces or thermal just from batteries, battery issues. Batteries are a big deal. Be sure we take care of those properly for you. And then on to other hazards. You know, does it have sharp edges? Does it have rotating parts? All those hazards. We'll scope that. And then each of those hazards and product classes will give us the scope that we need to proceed with. Now, just to back up for a second, sometimes companies like to have a non-disclosure agreement in place before they move forward with this conversation. Perfectly fine. We do those with almost every client. Some clients don't need them. However, we're going to knock that out for you if you need that too. From there, we'll know what the scope of the equipment is, what countries it's going into, what listings, standards, certifications you'll need. So then I can rapidly quote the cost and timeline of the project. I can rapidly quote that because we've done so much of this work over the years. It's pretty easy to figure that out. Now, one aside to that is if you're on a large development project. Let's say you're doing an R&D project and you're working your way through what kind of protection techniques we need to use for something that's very different. If you're doing a process that's one-off or the standards don't deal with exactly, we'll let you know and we'll work that project on time and materials. But in general, we can give you a firm fixed price of what, how, when to get certified. And that's why we're so practical and easy to work with. From there, we'll support the development and collaborate with you either on the design or any design iterations in order to make the product conform. That'll be very helpful because in a lot of cases you might find out from a third party or a test lab that doesn't conform, but how do you get there? Or you might have stepped into this process too early and you're testing to the wrong standard or testing to a standard that's not necessarily wrong, but if we got you into a different standard, you would be able to conform with the design the way it already is. We'll support that development, move that through. We'll develop the project plan, the test plan, and all of that, and then we'll begin to execute that with you and your teams. We'll go ahead and do the deep review, look at all the details, critical components, your bill of materials. Very useful when you're developing your product and bill of materials to keep track of all the cut sheets and all that data and keep that sorted and available. So we can use all of that to do this evaluation. And then when you're complete, we can also put all of this in your technical construction file. We'll collaborate on that. Your team will do most of the technical construction file and we'll help design the structure and give you the outline of what needs to be in there. And then our work will get loaded in the technical construction file and then your team will load all of their work into it as well. Quick aside about that too, just needs to exist electronically in an archive somewhere, and you probably will never, ever need it, but it's always great to have it documented and on hand. So once we get through that, if you need to go out to a lab, let's say you have something that does require UL listing, or it's a hazardous location device or a particular medical, anything that has that particular need for a internationally or nationally recognized test lab, we manage that process as well. We scope and quote that on a regular basis. This week I think we've got 3 or 4 going. And we're good at getting that process done too. We know how to work with those teams. In fact, a lot of them are friends, so we can help you get through that easier. Then we complete the evaluation and testing, either at our lab here in Austin, Texas, where I'm speaking from, or our lab in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Or if you have something different that these 2 labs can't manage, we have partnerships with other labs in the US and around the world where we can get it done as well. Thinking the UK and New Zealand specifically, because I've been working with them this week as well. Once we get all that done, we'll help you also edit your documentation. We'll give you the boilerplate, the details that you need to go in your manuals. Your manuals have to carry certain information. And watch for next week, because I'm going to talk about that and some of the key features that your manuals have to have around safety warnings. We'll also help you with the labeling. The nameplate that goes on the back of your product needs to have particular information. We like to use a harmonized worldwide nameplate for larger pieces of equipment. For consumer equipment, we can parse that down very tightly if you like. It's really just a matter of your industrial design and what you want your product to look like. But when we get there, then you've got the testing done, the evaluation done, and then all the ancillary documentation, labeling, and even stuff that needs to go on the packaging as well. All that'll be done when we're complete. And if you have to iterate anything, we'll help you with those design change iterations and things like that, and we'll be there to either say, yeah, this will work or this won't work, or even more importantly, bring the experience of 30 years of doing these kinds of projects and say, hey, if you do this, this is going to work very easily, or you can do it this way and it works well with your product. And another key thing to think about there is when we add these safety features or performance features, that they work well in the field or the factory. So the factory doesn't have to do a workaround to manage your safety devices, that they're actually easy to work with, inherent, and just natural. From there, you're going to get the finalized documentation, and we'll send you the product certifications, whether that's the form of a CE mark certificate of conformity and the declaration of conformity, or whether it's some other document, FCC, laser stuff for CDRH, whatever you need, we'll get you that documentation. Or if needed, at that point, we are already working with the lab. We'll forward all this documentation either directly or through you to UL or another lab, and then complete the project that way. And then next we'll perform any kind of reoccurring changes. Let's say you want to do a model B, C, or D that does something different but has similar features. That has us accelerated because we've already worked with your teams. We know the product very well now. We know your bombs. We know what it's like to work with you. So we can accelerate those next processes as well. So that steps you through how we do it, how we get you from where you are now to certified and get you to market rapidly, practically, and successfully. If you have any questions about this process, or you're already working with someone and you have some question in the back of your mind you're not getting answered well, we do like to help people whether you're a client with us or not. If you're going through a process and you need some advice, just let us know. And sometimes you might find that you're working in a startup or something, and doing the early due diligence makes sense, but waiting until you have revenue to do the further certifications makes sense as well. So we can walk you through that too. So have a great rest of your week, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.